Hi, I'm Rob Malone, Director, Exempt Organizations, Government Entities in the Tax Exempt and Government Entities Division of the Internal Revenue Service, or the IRS as we're known in the United States. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you today. By participating in events like the International Charity Fraud Awareness Week, our goal is to help each of you to remain vigilant in the fight to combat charity fraud. Now, just as a brief background, the IRS is a tax collection and enforcement agency in the U.S. Title 26 of the U.S. Code, the Internal Revenue Code, gives us our authority. The law provides exemption from federal income tax for an organization if it meets certain descriptions and pursues certain types of activities. Internal Revenue Code Section 501c3 specifically describes a broad set of organizations that we refer to collectively as charities. Here at the IRS, it's our job to make sure those organizations understand and meet their responsibilities under the code. Our regulation of charities and other tax-exempt entities, however, extends only to their compliance with the U.S. tax code. We do not regulate or oversee all aspects of how charities operate in the U.S. Other regulation of charities occurs at the state level. So with that as a quick background on how charities are regulated in the U.S., I'd like to let you know about a couple of ways the IRS is working to combat charity fraud. One way we do this is by annually publishing a list of tax scams known as the Dirty Dozen. The Dirty Dozen lists a variety of common scams that taxpayers may encounter anytime, but many of these schemes peak during filing season as people prepare their returns or hire someone to help with their taxes. One scam that appears regularly is about fake charities. Taxpayers are advised not to fall prey to these scams. Another way we combat charity fraud is through our IRS Lead Development Center, or LDC. The LDC helps stop abusive promoters and unscrupulous tax return preparers as early as possible. The LDC relies on help from taxpayers. Taxpayers provide information on promoters involved in too good to be true tax schemes and tax preparers using improper methods to avoid taxes. The LDC uses both internal and external sources for information on tax schemes and abusive tax return preparers and ensures that cases are appropriately processed. Our compliance efforts with respect to fraud and promoters don't stop there. As part of the continued focus on compliance issues, the IRS announced in March 2020 the establishment of the Fraud Enforcement Office. The office works on agency-wide compliance issues and advises and consults with the IRS division commissioners and deputy commissioners on all issues involving fraud enforcement strategic plans, programs, and policy. In April 2021, the IRS announced the establishment of the IRS Office of Promoter Investigations. The office is part of continuing our increased focus on promoters and abusive tax avoidance transactions and will coordinate efforts across multiple business operating divisions within the IRS to address abusive transactions. Finally, I would like to offer 3 simple tips on what donors can do to protect themselves from charity fraud. Tip 1, be vigilant and do your homework. Before you donate to a charity, check them out. We suggest taking a few extra minutes to ensure your hard-earned money goes to real charities. The IRS advises taxpayers to be on the lookout for scammers who set up fake organizations that take advantage of the public's generosity. Also, taxpayers may search for a charity online and be directed to a website or social media page that is not affiliated with the actual charity. Please stay alert. Ask for the charity's exact name, employer identification number, web address, and mailing address. Use that information to check out the charity. So how can you check on a charity and be sure it's legitimate? One way is by using the Tax Exempt Organization Search Tool, or TEOS, which is an online tool on irs.gov. TEOS helps people find legitimate qualified charities. Any legitimate charity will provide its employer identification number to you, so its status can be verified on TEOS. Do your homework. Be ever vigilant. Tip 2 for avoiding charity fraud. Don't feel pressured to give. A legitimate charity will be happy to get a donation at any time, so there's no rush. Donors are encouraged to take time to do the research. Criminals and fraudsters often see disasters as an opportunity to take advantage of victims and donors when they are most vulnerable. These disaster scams normally start with unsolicited contact. The scammer contacts their possible victim by telephone, social media, email, or in person. Scams requesting donations for disaster relief efforts are especially common over the phone. Remember, don't feel pressured to give. And finally, tip 3, don't work with charities that ask you to pay by giving numbers from a gift card or by wiring money. The safest way is to pay by credit card or check, and only after having done some research on the charity. Donors should not give out personal financial information to anyone who solicits a contribution. This includes things like social security numbers and bank account numbers and passwords. With that, I would like to thank you for attending today's session and for helping us combat charity fraud.